Good morning, friends, fellow veterans, citizens of Berwyn, and anyone else that knows me. I am Tony Ward, Anthony Ward Sr. I am the president of the Combined Veterans of Berwyn. I will not let Veterans Day go by with no mention. We may not be able to gather in person as we have done in the past, but that doesn't mean I can't remember that we are veterans, each and every one of us. Doesn't matter when you served. From World War II, through Korea, into Vietnam, and now the new global war on terror. Whether you are Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and let us not forget that now we have a new entity. What I'm going to read is not my words, but the words from the American Legion entitled A Veterans Day Speech. 70 years ago, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed what for many historians consider the greatest social legislation ever passed by the U.S. Congress. As popular as the GI Bill remains today, it took the horrific cost and bloodshed of World War II to remind many Americans just how great a debt is owed to our veterans. In 1932, thousands of World War I veterans had to go to Washington to petition the government for bonuses that they felt they were owed. They had been promised these bonuses during the war, but they never came to be. The campsite was finally overrun by the United States Army, and at least 2 veterans were killed by the police. President Franklin Roosevelt told the American Legion National Convention in 1933 that, and I quote, "No person, because he wore a uniform, must therefore be placed in a special class of beneficiaries over and above other citizens," end quote. While Roosevelt later would prove himself to be a great wartime commander-in-chief, he and others failed to realize at the time is that veterans were not asking to be part of a special class. They just wanted a shot at the American dream that they fought so hard to defend. Many Americans profess to truly love our veterans, especially at gatherings like this on Veterans Day, Memorial Day, and others. And while their feelings are usually sincere, it is important to remember that veterans are defending the United States 365 days a year. The heroism that has been demonstrated time and time again by veterans from the American Revolution to the global war on terrorism is sometimes unnoticed by those of us who enjoy the security that their sacrifice provides. Army Staff Sergeant Carlton Romashia has seen war in its very worst. While serving at Outpost Keating in Afghanistan, he and his comrades awoke to an attack by an estimated 300 enemy fighters on 3 October 2009. According to his Medal of Honor citation, Staff Sergeant Romashia took out an enemy machine gun, engaged in taking out a second where he received shrapnel wounds from an RPG he continued to fight on. He killed at least 3 other Taliban fighters and directed air support to destroy 30 other enemy fighters. After receiving the nation's highest military award, Staff Sergeant Romashia said he felt conflicted. The joy, he said, comes from recognition of us doing our jobs as soldiers on distant battlefields, but is countered by the constant reminder of the loss of our battle buddies. My battle buddies, my soldiers, and my friends. Sergeant Romashia's attitude is not hard to find among the living Medal of Honor recipients. They will never forget the sacrifice of their friends, and neither will the Gold Star families who have to cope without the emotion of their loved ones. The innocence of their grieving children will be challenged by the dramatic change affecting the balance of security and comfort in their family routine. The hearts of these families will feel the sharp sting of their loss, leaving them only with memories of their loving mom or dad. Life as they have known it will be much harder from now on. Our debt to these heroes can never be repaid, but our gratitude and respect must last forever. For many veterans, our nation was important enough to endure long separations from their families, missing the births of their children, freeze in sub-zero temperatures, bake in wild jungles, lose limbs, and far too often lose their lives. Military spouses have had to endure career interruptions, frequent changes of address, and a disproportionate share of parental responsibilities. The children also had to deal with changes in schools, separation from friends, and hardest of all, the uncertainty of whether or not mom or dad will live through the next combat tour. Warriors need advocates, and that is why the American Legion exists. We are here to serve veterans, their families, and our communities. Veterans need each other. But more importantly, our country needs our veterans. You cannot fight a war without veterans, and while the utopian idea of a society without war is appealing, let us not forget that wars have liberated slaves, stopped genocide, and toppled terrorists. Stephen Ambrose once wrote, "America's wars have been like rungs on a ladder by which it rose to greatness. No other country has triumphed so long, so consistently, or on such a vast scale through force of arms." It has often been said that without our veterans, Americans would be speaking Russian, German, or perhaps even Japanese. Regardless of which view of affirmative history you take, we do know that without our veterans, America would not be America. As we look to the Middle East today, we know there is a large, dangerous, and committed group of fanatics that wants us dead. And while ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and other terrorists may lack conventional weapons of Nazi Germany or Imperial Japan, they are every bit as evil in their intentions. Those who defend us from our enemies must be supported, whether their service was in Baghdad or Beirut. We need to serve veterans as well as they serve us, even when the guns have temporarily stopped firing. The American Legion shows its support for American heroes through its Family Support Network, Legacy Scholarship Fund, Operation Comfort Warriors, Temporary Financial Assistance, and the National Emergency Fund, just to name a few of our programs. Veterans don't ask for much. They don't want to be in a special class. But benefits are a mere drop in the bucket to the financial and human cost of war. And while not all veterans see war, all who have served in the military have expressed a willingness to fight if called upon. You can show your support for these great men and women by hiring a veteran in your workplace, visit a VA hospital, or donating to a veterans program. Companies should understand that it's smart business to hire veterans. And when members of the Guard and Reserves deploy, it is in America's business interest to ensure that these civilian careers do not suffer. Homelessness is another issue that affects veterans disproportionately. Too often today, tattered citizens of the street was yesterday's toast of the town in a crisp uniform with rows of shining medals. This is hardly the thanks of a grateful nation. We can do better. We must do better. Historians have said that Dwight Eisenhower was prouder of being a soldier than he was of being president. And while relatively few soldiers will ever reach the rank of general, pride in one's military service is a bond shared by nearly all who have served. The pride is on display on every obituary page in the country, where military service, regardless of how many decades have passed, and subsequent achievements reached, are mentioned with a death notice of nearly every deceased veteran. Can any CEO or distinguished Ivy League graduate truly claim to have more responsibility than a 21-year-old squad leader walking point on patrol in Afghanistan? Fewer than 10% of Americans can claim the title veterans. Far less than 1% of our population is currently defending us in the global war on terrorism. Yet many seem intent on trying to balance the federal budget by diminishing the quality of the programs designed for the families who have already disproportionately made these sacrifices. Veterans have given us freedom, security, and the greatest nation on earth. It is impossible to put a price on that. We must remember them. We must appreciate them. God bless you all for listening. God bless our veterans. And God bless America. Thank you.